Welcome to our 125th episode of the Gutenberg Changelog podcast. In today's episode, we will talk about WordPress 6.9, Gutenberg 22.1 and Gutenberg 22.2 releases or versions. I'm your host, Birgit Pauli-Haack, curator at the Gutenberg Times and a full-time core contributor for the WordPress open source project, sponsored by Automatic. It's a special delight to have JC Palms with me on the show today. JC is the Principal Technical Manager at WebDev Studios. Welcome back to the show, JC. How are you today?
I'm doing good, Birgit. I'm very busy, but still alive, so that's a win.
I can imagine.
Happy to be here and talk WordPress and Gutenberg again.
Yeah, super. Yeah, great to see you have your perspective on all the things. I just want to point out that on WebDev Studios, they have just posted a developer's guide to the future of WordPress with Gutenberg block editor. And in a short summary, it's why they switched or why WebDev Studios is so involved in React applications and in block themes and in the block development, because it has a lot of advantages. And so there is the code shift to reactive components. I think one of the advantages that I see is that actually WordPress is giving so many components that as a plugin developer or agency developer, you don't have to make those decisions on the UI anymore. Yeah, you can just follow along with the ideas. Is that accurate when I say that?
Yeah, so that article, I really like that a lot. It reflects what we see on most of our enterprise scale projects, where blocks function like React components, and they function like React components now. And theme JSON is basically the design system contract. So performance improves massively when you move away from the old page builder stack. For multi-sites and big editorial teams, this kind of structure is really the only way things stay sane long term. So yeah, that piece captured that direction really well, and it's just the performance alone is just massive.
Massive
performance improvements.
Yeah. I think we talked about it the last time you were on the show, when you already created the starter theme that's based on block theme for the organization. So that's what you start out with. And I will share the link to the GitHub repo.
WSBT, yeah.
Yes, in the show notes. And I think that also encapsulates all the good ideas around it. Have you developed a little bit more on that? What other features kind of went in?
Not recently, but it's in my list of to-dos. It's just I've been very busy with projects and stuff, so I will need to, because there are some fixes that moved into core, but we had to do very custom fixes, and some of those are already in core, so we will have to remove those and make sure that it's aligned with the new version of WordPress, and of course fully tested.
Yeah, I can see that there are always a few things that are not working in WordPress, or you have to build a workaround. You know it's coming, but you need something now. You need to build a workaround. And then when it comes into core, they just say, oh, okay, the custom code goes away. Yeah, and in comes core, but it still needs to be backwards compatible also for your clients. So, but I think that's a pretty good trade-off to actually then have WordPress keep updating the part of the code. Yeah.
And the way that WordPress is kind of moving towards a future-proof version, it's easier to add in fixes now and take it out when core takes over. I haven't had any sites break currently that's using our base theme.
That's awesome.
Even with the core updates.
Yeah, it's all pretty much isolated and you don't have to worry so much about things. Yeah, awesome. So yeah, we will share the article about the developer's guide on the future of WordPress and Gutenberg block editor. In the show notes, we will also share the starter theme that Web Dev Studios has. And I don't think we talked about it here on the show, or maybe with somebody else. That's the theme switcher plugin that
Oh
came
yeah,
out from Web Dev Studio, which is a way to have different
multiple
themes.
themes. Yep. In one site, it's a really robust plugin, and I think a lot of enterprise level companies are going to like it just because they can test, if they're not ready for Gutenberg blocks and they're still on the old WordPress templating system. If they want to try this out, then they can have a full site theme and together with their old theme and change it out one page at a time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I understood, that you can have a gradual migration over to the new system or to a block theme and
Mm-hmm.
see how your content performs and how your content creators actually work with it
Mm-hmm.
before you make the switch for the whole site. I think that's pretty smart to
Yeah,
do, especially when you have thousands and thousands of posts and more than two editors,
exactly.
kind of. Yeah, it it's really helpful to have a gradual shift because we all don't like change, sudden changes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we like to
Yep.
be in the, okay, I need to get accustomed to things.
This thing, that theme switcher is kind of, it's allowing these people to test the waters first before diving right in.
Yeah, and you can make the block theme that is kind of added to the other theme kind of look almost like identical like the other one. So you have the shell and then can see how
Mm-hmm.
the rest of it works. Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
nifty. Yeah, so that I will share also with our listeners on the show notes. And I'm glad you're all doing such a great job in advocating for the block editor and share all your wins with the community. All right. So I have a few announcements, dear listeners. So the Gutenberg Changelog is now also available as podcast on YouTube. Last week I uploaded all episodes. Well, I didn't upload one at a time. So YouTube has this feature where you can point it to an RSS feed and then it gradually kind of uploads them itself by its own. And because Google abandoned their podcast space, maybe 2 years ago, and only now I have migrated it. But it was fairly easy to do. And the only change I had to make was to allow the RSS feed to actually have all the episodes in there so YouTube could grab them. But I
Mm-hmm.
also needed to do that anyway because I also switched over from the Seriously Simple podcast player on our episodes to the Pocket Cast player. So Pocket Cast also need all our episodes so we can have the slug or the short link for the embed code in there. So that you will see also on the website. So, and I also wanted to say hi and welcome to all the new subscribers. We had a lot more listeners in the last month, and I would
Congratulations.
really, yeah, it's awesome. I'm so happy that after a period of 2 years stagnating, kind of always have the same amount of listens and downloads. And now all of a sudden, it's really great to connect with you, dear listeners. And if you want, leave a comment or review on your favorite podcast app. We will read it aloud here. And but I also want to connect with you and learn about your ideas or what topics you would like us to cover more. So you can also send this all to the email address. The official email address for the podcast is changelog@gutenbergtimes.com. Changelog@gutenbergtimes.com. So now enough about me. Let's talk about my book. No, I don't. I don't do a book.
I would read your book.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I sometimes, well, I almost did a book. Yeah, for WordPress 6.9, but we will talk about that. So WordPress 6.9 is coming. We are a few days away, like 5 days or something away from the WordPress 6.9 release. It's out as release candidate 3. We are recording this on November 28th, and the release is scheduled for December 2nd. So today is Friday. For Tuesday, that's also the date when State of the World will happen out of San Francisco, live streamed, and probably with a few demos from WordPress 6.9, also with the outlook for 2026. But for our listeners, the field guide is out. It came a little later than for other releases, but on the Gutenberg Times, I also published the WordPress 6.9 Source of Truth, which has a whole lot of details about what changed on the block editor for end users and also for theme developers, what they can style and all that. So if you want to read it, it's 22 to 33 minutes to read through it, and it has 5,000 words, over 5,000 words. So that's half that. I mean, it's not a book, but it's a book. It's almost a
Yeah.
book.
It's a lot of
So
words. It's a lot of words.
that's a lot of words, but also screenshots and videos, so you can really learn a little bit more about what's in the editor. And I also have a ton of links about the developer-related updates. So, JC, what are your favorite or exciting updates coming to WordPress 6.9?
Well, my top one would probably be the terms query improvement. I thought that was still on Gutenberg 22.2, but it's now on 6.2, 6.9, I mean. It's a big deal for me because I've built custom versions of this so many times because, the current query block, they're not strong enough for what we need. So with that coming into core,
Yeah.
that's kind of big.
The term query block, it almost works like the query block, but not with posts, but with
Yeah, but
description
with
and tags.
terms.
Yeah,
Yep.
with the terms. And also, so you can have the title, you can have the count, and you can also, the term description was already available as a block, but now you can also put it in a dynamic page where you can list all the good categories and things that you need. Yeah. And it's good for filtering, I would think, for the
Yes.
huge sites. And
For
it
huge
also,
sites, yes.
yeah, what else?
The accordion block.
Yeah.
I've built so many versions of the accordion block as well. So having that in core just means lesser custom blocks, and it's going to be consistent markup because it's core, and I'm pretty sure better accessibility and styling. So
Yeah.
there's no
And you can,
surprises.
yeah. I think the accordion block really lives from how you're going to style it. So the style variations are, you can much easier to create than
Yep.
custom blocks. There is on the developer blog, Justin Tadlock actually did a tutorial on how to style the accordions block. And he also has a snippet on how to add the schema for FAQs to the accordion block. So I will share that in the links in the show notes. But it's really, he explains how to do the theme JSON styling, also the style sheet, as well as what's still missing, how you do it in CSS, and also how you can do it in a plugin or in a pattern rather.
Yeah.
And so it's a really good tutorial for someone who kind of starts out and hasn't done so many accordion blocks like you did. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else are you going to be
So another big one for me is, I know it's not yet in core, it's in the plugin still, but the preparation is already in core. It's the full iframe preparation for the integration in the post editor.
Yeah, so
It's
why is that important for you?
because it's going to mean cleaner isolation, fewer CSS leaks, less theme and admin bleed through with styles, because we've been battling that. Yeah, so we've had quite a bit of issues with admin CSS sneaking into custom blocks and vice versa. So this direction makes me very happy.
Oh, good, good. I'm glad the contributors will be happy to hear that, especially Aki and Ria and Ella, who are kind of have been working on that for so long, and that
Thank
it's.
you.
I let him know.
One other thing, I'm not sure, did the tiny MCE thing make it into core or will make it into core?
No, not yet.
Oh, not yet.
I
Oh,
think that it's not automatically loaded, that part. Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's slated for 7.0.
Okay, I'll wait for 7.0. I'll be very happy. Well, I'm happy now that there's ongoing work because in one of my projects, again, I've been fighting with a lot. I've been fighting with TinyMC issues for months, especially when you have more than 10 classic blocks and ACF with TinyMC on top. Everything just starts lagging or breaking in very strange ways. So
I
please
can
make it
see
happen.
So what else? Is there any APIs that are coming to
Oh yeah,
WordPress
the
6.9 that you're excited
abilities
about?
API. Yeah, abilities API. That one is interesting. Is that in?
It will be in core. Yes.
Yeah, it's maybe in core. Yeah, I know it's still kind of experimental. Oh damn! Yeah, I'm sorry.
Really?
Excited.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So what I like about this because it's now in a kind of unified declarative model with permissions. So plugins are no longer as scatterbrained with capability checks everywhere. So this is going to be a cleaner way to define what a user role can do. That's more of what I need it for. And it's
That's interesting.
one feature that I'll probably be play with a lot more.
Have you?
Data views
Yeah.
and routing,
Mhm.
those two.
Yeah. Yeah, DataViews are on NPM. So if you as a plugin developer or agency developer want to use it, they can be included into your React apps. And there's not only the data views, but also the data forms, yeah, where you get validation with it, and then you can do your modals for data entry. It is a whole new design system for the admin and
Yeah.
for admin pages. It will not be kind of a switch over right away. Yeah, so from the site editor to the whole thing, like the command palette, it definitely needs a lot of testing and quite a few plugins. For instance, Jetpack uses it. Some screens at WooCommerce uses it now. And then I also know that other plugins are actually working with it to use the DataViews components and design for their plugins.
Yeah, because if this becomes a standard for building admin UIs, we can finally stop reinventing these
We are,
tables every year.
yeah.
So
And you don't have to maintain the bulk of the code. So it's only the business logic pretty much and to maintain for you. Anything else that you want to talk about on the 6.9?
performance improvements are off the charts. Smarter script and style loading. They're now going to load automatically in the footer, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the fetch priority that I only learned about earlier today. It's kind of interesting. And yeah, the reducement of the layout shift for videos.
Hmm.
Oh, caching. There's
Caching,
now
yes,
better
also.
cache support, especially
Hmm.
for multi-sites. The multi-site cache is going to be can be cleared out for the whole site, not just for per site, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I think so.
That's
Yeah.
going to be huge. Yeah, we've been having quite a bit of multi-site projects lately, so
Oh, good.
that's going to
Yeah.
be good.
So do you see any applications or adoption of the notes feature, the content
Oh
block
yeah, the
level
notes. That
commenting?
one, well, for content editors, that would be a help, I guess. I haven't really paid a lot of attention to that part. I paid more attention to the developer parts and
I imagine,
the more
yeah.
of the UI. Yeah. But yeah, that I'm not sure if I'll use it, but probably, well, I don't really take notes, so
All right, good, good. So I think that's all we're going to talk about WordPress 6.9. I talked with Ella about it, and I also talked with Sarah about it, and with Beth Soderberg. So the last four episodes, we had talked about quite a bit about 6.9. So now that it's here, it's really kind of we're going to be shifting what's coming to 7.0, but not in this episode, except for
yeah.
what's in Gutenberg plugins. Before we head into what's released, I wanted to point out to our listeners that the WordPress importer has received a major upgrade, and that came out of the Playground team. The Playground has these blueprint steps called import WXR, which actually uses the export of a site that is done exporting with the WordPress importer. But the problem was when you import it to Playground, all the links would break. And so the team added a URL replacer to the importer plugin. And it not only is a very smart replacer, it does not only replace the page links, but also the URLs or the links that are in navigation blocks, that are in background image CSS. And so it's actually really helping with, you don't need any other plugin to actually import an export from a website. So you can put it into Playground and then have a full functioning site without having trouble with. And if the images are still on the original site, it kind of grabs them and puts them in as well, like the normal importer does, but it also replaces the URLs to the image. So it's really a major shift on the WordPress importer. I think I abandoned using the importer about 4 or 5 years ago for other plugins when I was moving sites, but this seems to be a much smarter way now because it also streams that. So it's really fast on the importing part.
Nice.
So
I'll have to check that and test it out.
yeah, it's released now in 0.9.5. And I'll share the link in the show notes to the PR that implemented that URL report. There's actually a better way. Adam Chilinski, the brilliant programmer of Playground, has actually a post on the core blog where he kind of lays out how he did it. All right, now we come to Gutenberg 22.1 release. Do you want to lead us into what's new and what we're going to talk about? We start out with new block. It's the core tabs block.
Oh, the core tabs. Yep.
Have you been waiting for that too, hey?
Yeah. Yeah, we do have quite a bit of custom blocks as well that are tabs, usually for education sites where they have multiple content that they need to add into tabs. We've used the navigation block before to kind of hack it up and use it as a tabs block, and sometimes just very custom tabs block, but this is going to be way better because it's now native and core. So,
All right. Okay. Yeah. I have seen a lot of tabs on some websites, but I also don't build a whole lot of websites with a lot of content. So I was wondering both, for the accordion or the tabs block. But I can see that it's actually a good use case for vertical navigation. Where you can then just have use it on the left hand side, and then you click on it and it opens content on the right hand side, and it makes it so much faster because it doesn't need a reload. It's already on the website. So that's pretty cool. So what else? There are enhancements to the design system for the admin stuff, and also the static and lazy routing for the data views, but that's all very, very developer oriented. Okay, so the block library, with this release, there comes image prefetching for clicks to expand the images. So if a user or a visitor actually hovers over your gallery or your images, and so there is an indication, oh, maybe they want to click on it. And so it kind of prefetches the image. So after the click, the loading is almost instantaneous. It's actually, somebody called it cheating, but it's not. Yeah, it's kind of anticipating what a visitor wants to do and be helpful. Yeah. The next one is breadcrumbs. So breadcrumbs is still in an experimental new block. So you have to, the same with the tabs block, you have to enable the experiments in the Gutenberg plugin. And it now can handle homepage and show the last item attribute and add 404 search and other archive pages to the breadcrumbs if they are in the context of that particular page where it's loaded.
Yeah, well, I've built a lot of breadcrumbs as well, so this is going to be great once it lands in core.
Yeah, I know I have used Justin Tadlock's breadcrumbs block quite a bit, and he has also been part of the team who's kind of looking at how that's working and if it's good, ready for core and all that. So yeah, I really like it, especially for large sites like any other, you need breadcrumbs to guide your visitors back to safety, so to speak. If they get too deep into the site,
Yes.
yeah, they want to, how they get back to it, yeah. The next block I'm really excited about. Well, the HTML custom block is already in core, but what they did now was they added JavaScript and CSS editing to the block. So you can actually
That is nice, yeah.
build your own little app in one block kind of thing. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's going to get a lot of use for me just for playing around.
Yeah. Well, you can do some great prototypes and with that and then get the code in the right places. But yeah, it's really cool. For those who are looking for a Twitter embed, it will be replaced by the X embed icon in text. I think after 3 years, it's probably
Yeah.
time to
Yeah, once
update that
this
in code.
hits core, I'll have to remove the function that
Yeah.
they've added for that particular feature.
Yeah. Do you want to take the next one?
It's collaboration, the notes that I don't use, but
Right,
it's
right.
definitely interesting. And I see it being used for collaboration for those who use notes, but not for me.
With this release, there comes, I need to put it this way. So normally you want to disable things also when there are new features. There are always some people who need it also to be disabled, but it's also some, you don't want the notes to show up in distraction-free mode or
Yeah.
in the code editor. And that's also, so this release in the Gutenberg 22.1, for those two things, notes are disabled. There's also keyboard shortcuts and support for free tree navigation and form submission shortcuts and all that. But those are the two outstanding changes to the notes thing. Won't be in 6.9. Well, let me verify that. No, it was backported. Both of them were backported to the release candidate. So it's in 6.9.
Maybe I'll check it out.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely do. Yeah, you want to know what your customers are doing with it.
Yep.
And there's also a
And
go ahead.
oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, I'm just going to say that it's good that they also added in an ability to disable it.
Yeah. And there is a dev note by Adam Silverstein, who was one of the instrumental developers there. There were also contributors from Asia there. And so there was a whole team building on that. The team was from the company Multidots, and they have been working on it for probably a year. And the developer note by Adam Silverstein is really very specific on how it was implemented, if there are new filters and hooks to figure out more about the dev notes, if you need additional features, and how it all kind of came together, what's the basis of it. And so it's a really interesting note if you are a developer and working with WordPress. The next thing is the text area control. I like that you now can add to the text area but that's for the data forms, I think. Yeah, no, it's in the components actually. So it can be in the editor as well. If you have a text area that you now can add a minimum height to it, so it can also grow from there. Yeah. Do you want to do the next bolded one?
Yeah. Okay, so the color picker also got a really nice upgrade. You can now paste an entire color value directly into it, and it's in any format, right? So
Right.
hex, RGB, HSL. Can it do named colors? It can, right?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, that would be awesome.
That would be
If
awesome,
it
yes.
can. Yeah.
Well, we need to try it
Um,
out. Yeah, to if you
yep.
can do lime yellow. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what's great is that, you don't have to click into a specific input, just paste it and right inside the picker.
Yeah.
I had to sometimes because when you do colors, right, for websites and you have not added a specific color to the color picker for the theme, I have this browser extension where I just hover on the color and get the value, and then the color picker does not like the value that I input into it. So
Hmm.
having the ability to add the entire color value directly is going to save me a lot of time when
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah. And also it avoids typos. Yeah.
Yep.
But oh yeah. Yeah, I'll look up colors all the time. Yeah. And then want to just hover the hex value and then post it in. But yeah, you have to, it's good. So the term name, the extensibility on the term name, I'm not sure it's really extensibility, but it adds the level options for the heading levels. And I think that was in 6.6 where that actually made a rounds, because the extensibility is that you can control the levels that a heading can have. So normally when you use a heading block, it starts with H2, and you always need to use the drop down to change it to
Change it.
H3. Yeah. And with the level options, you can actually control that through theme JSON, or to only do term level being H3 all the time, yes, without having to change it every time you use the heading level.
A very nice improvement for content only patterns. Because normally when you're editing a content only pattern, a lot of the design controls are hidden because the structure is locked. So, and that's the whole point. One of the annoying part of it is trying to tweak colors.
So you can do it now.
So yep, you can do it now. That's going to be a huge experience for content editors.
Yeah.
Really.
And you don't have to enable it, with custom code either.
Enable and disable. Yeah, exactly.
So we come now to the bug fixes, and there are a ton of bug fixes. Yeah, don't get me wrong. There are also a ton that were backported to WordPress 6.9, and for the accordion block, it adds CSS for the default styles. It also has some font style inheritance for button and inner text blocks. I think that's a little bit of a red flag. No, not red flag, but it was a little bit. The benefit from the accordion block in core was that it didn't have any opinion on style. Yeah, but the problem was that if you use the accordion block in a classic theme, then it wouldn't have any styling unless you put it in a classic theme. So there was one idea was to just put some default styling in, but they were so restrictive that they can't be overwritten by theme JSON values for another theme. So that kind of was a little bit of a problematic. I'm not quite sure how they solved it, or if they've solved it before the next version comes out, before the 6.9 comes out, but that's kind of part of it. And the inner blocks of buttons or text blocks, they inherit the style of the above accordion block. So it's kind of that.
Okay, so right now, well, prior to this fix, it's not inheriting the font style from the heading, or the other way around?
Well, it was the font styles for the font style from button, accordion, header, toggle. That's the whole heading.
Yep.
Didn't go to the next header, I think. Yeah, and it's a typography appearance. It's fixed. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Embeds. There's embeds to grow and shrink. That's going to be helpful.
Yeah. So the embed blocks, they were pretty restrictive in their styling. And now when they're inside a flex group block, they can grow and shrink with the size of the group block.
Together with the group block.
Yeah, that is really cool, because
CSS.
Yeah, less CSS, and also increased responsiveness, right? If the group block gets smaller, then also the embed gets smaller, and it doesn't bleed into the template.
Blocks.
Yeah.
Does it keep the aspect ratio? I hope it does.
Well, I think that's something to be tested and kind of figure out. I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah, me too. Because with one of the things that I kind of really hate about, not hate is such a strong word, I don't like about the embed block is, when you have a video and then you shrink it and it's not shrinking, and if it does shrink, it loses aspect ratio.
Yeah. So the next thing is more like a CSS specificity for the text alignment classes, and also I think that corrects something that was done before, that the text alignment and paragraph would go away, and now it comes back, and with a better robust CSS styling. And then for the heading block, the background padding was pretty strong out of the box. Yeah, and
Yeah.
now they're kind of more specific to the block, so also more styling freedom for the theme developers, right?
Yeah, those
You see
are
that too?
both quality of life improvements for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think there was the last from 2022.1. Yeah, the routing part is still all for the data views is still all in experiments. So you need to enable those if you want to play around with that. If you want to test it. It's playing around seems so unserious, yeah. But if you
Yeah.
really want to test it, if you can use it already. So yeah, that was it. And we come to Gutenberg 22.2. We are talking through the changelog of the release candidate. 22.2 will come out on December 3rd, so one day after 6.9. But it's normally that the release candidate is pretty solid in what's coming in into the final release. It's just for testing purposes that they actually do a release candidate one. So this one is big. It has 161 pull requests from 49 contributors, four of which are first timers. Congratulations to your first contribution. And the release focuses more on performance and block editor polish and has a series of accessibility developer experience improvements, but it's intended to test ahead with that. There were some enhancements again through the breadcrumbs block. It's kind of really fantastic how that is going to grow and be feature rich when it will come to WordPress 7.0. But you definitely try it out. It has an archive link if there's enabled in post and can do attachment handling and post type archive links and support pagination as well. So it's kind of really cool. What else is in there?
Yeah. The cover now supports background videos from embeds, and yeah, that's a major upgrade for the cover block. Because until now background videos only work if you uploaded a file directly to the media library, and now with this new update you can use embedded videos like YouTube, Vimeo, and other or supported embed sources
Yeah,
as
that's
the
that's
background.
huge, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. It used to be a custom block for us, and having the ability
Here
to
it
do
goes.
this when it lands on core
Yeah,
is going to be really huge.
here goes the custom block again. Out.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
I'm
yeah.
absolutely happy to remove custom blocks and move into native core blocks when it's there,
Mhm.
because it's just the improvement and the quality and the markup just consistent, and it's really nice when things work together.
Yeah. And especially the custom block, you don't want to have, not every shared hosting has, you can upload videos well,
Mm-hmm.
or if they're uploaded, they're rather pedestrian, I would say. Yeah, because they need to be downloaded. And so if you use an embedded one, so the YouTube or the Vimeos of the space are actually hosting your video and it
Yeah,
doesn't take all the bandwidth and all that. So
yeah,
it's a really cool quality of life enhancement as well for those who don't have so much oomph on their hosting. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, this should have existed years ago. Then again,
Well, there are a lot of things that should have been fixed a year or two ago.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. There's also a new enhancement for the math block. So you could style, of course, the text of it, but not the full block around it. Yeah, and that
Mhm.
has now style options as well, so you can change the background and the dimension and the border and the red border radius. It's all available now for the math outside the math block. It's not coming to 6.9. That's for the future release, but it's test it out and see how it comes to pass. And the next one you'd like that.
Yeah, and I like this a lot. Less CSS and markup for me. So that button block got a big improvement, and theme builders like me, every one of us have been asking for forever. Because we can now style pseudo states like hover, focus, active, focus is visible directly in theme JSON for the button block and its variations. Because before this, the only reliable way to style hover or focus styles states, I mean, was to either drop in custom CSS into theme JSON or in a custom CSS
Style sheet, yeah.
CSS file, yeah, style sheet. That kind of break the idea of keeping design controls inside theme JSON as much as possible. I would want to keep design controls inside theme JSON. But with this improvement, we can now design these states the same way that we define normal button styles and variations.
Awesome.
The outline button can now have hover states too.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the next two items are about the data views. There are a lot more in the data views section of the changelog, but there are two things. One is because it points out that you now can insert certain information into the table. Also, the table column header allows you now to add columns left or right of your location. That goes into that the data view screens are much more customizable out of the box than any admin page in the current WordPress admin would do. But I really like that part where you can say where the columns go and all that. So you have a real more control over it as a user or as a site owner.
Yeah, I also like the new layout option, the activity layout, because that's basically a timeline view, right? It's similar to the list layout, but with styling and behavior tuned for things like, say, revisions, logs, events,
Right.
audits, anything chronological.
Exactly.
You get
Yeah.
a vertical timeline track on the left, smaller media, inline primary actions, and really a clearer focus on the event field that anchors each entry.
Have it
Sorting is disabled though, but I guess it's kind of like a timeline view, so it really shouldn't jump around, and that makes sense. The cool part, I think, it's not just visual. The layout has its own interaction rules. Only the title is clickable, the whole row isn't, and the keyboard navigation is handled differently because the UI behaves differently than a list or a table. It's a timeline.
Yeah.
It's I think it's one of those layouts where once you see it, you realize that WordPress has needed it for years.
A long time, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely for historical data that you would want to have in some kind of a layout. Yeah, so cool. Thank you for pointing that out. We're coming now to the pattern section, and the PR says add edit section to the list view instead of ungroup. So there is, I think it's still an experiment. I'm not quite sure, but the pattern management kind of changes a little bit. And you can now, if you have a section that is, and we come to add what is a section block, in the list view, those section blocks are now available to be edited and not that you have to unravel the pattern if you want to edit it. So that's pretty cool. So what are section blocks? And I asked some developers who had been working on it about it, and I looked at the documentation. And then a section is determined by the is section block selector. Well, that is kind of what is the is section block selector? Yeah. So it's a pattern, a template part, or a block that has a template lock on it that says content only. And so it moves around and can be not edited, but styled in its whole, and then be for and the content creator doesn't have a whole lot of controls about it. It's a special block that acts actually as a container with specific editing restrictions, primarily used in template and site editing context. So that was a new terminology for me to think about.
It's new to me too, but with the way that you've explained sections, I've only really called it lock patterns.
Oh, okay, yeah. Locked from, you can edit
you can edit the content, but not the
the
way it looks.
design.
The design.
Yeah.
The structure.
And there's a whole lot of effort around that content only lock to kind of bleed into other places, or be it in pattern, be it in the editor. How can you switch from one to the next, or is it a different, do you need to point out that those are actually content-only locked ones? So we will see a lot more about that in the coming months
Yeah.
for this particular content-only modus. So I'm kind of this is pretty much a preparation for that in terms of what particular PRs will come about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's more of a guardrail when you don't want styled, structured patterns to just explode,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it gives the option to ungroup it, and then clients come back and say that it's not working. So
Mhm.
this is good. It's a more predictable behavior for a section. I'm
Yeah,
calling it a section now.
calling ejection now. That's one thing. It also has a certain pattern endpoint, so you could do pattern-wide changes to things.
Yeah.
We saw it with 6.7 in the zoom view when you were going through 2025 theme and go into zoom view, you were able to add a pattern, but then change the color of it because it would loop through the various color variations of your style variation. Yeah. So that was one of that totally, yeah, I was totally amazed by that, how easy that was to get new colors in there and you don't have to worry about things. But that's kind of the idea about it.
Yeah.
So, and then there were really, really small changes to the block editor. It now has a card icon.
Thank you.
It also supports the width under dimensions, so you can control that for
Yeah,
padding
finally, proper
and,
width
and
support.
margin. Yeah.
Yes.
And also the text also has a justify attribute now or control. So those are really quality of life things. And they were,
Yes.
until you use them, you don't know you miss those things. But yeah, but
Until
that
you
is,
use them by editing a few thousand pages.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
And I think that was everything that came. Well, we want to talk about 2022.2. Is there anything else that you found?
I think we've talked about the ones that I really find interesting.
Good.
For the other functions, new stuff, they can read the build guide, but those
Right.
that we've talked about are really the ones that jump out to me and I
Yeah.
find really interesting or very helpful for my workflow.
Yeah. Wonderful. Excellent. I'm glad that we got that. So before we end the show, I want to point out that there's the State of the Word coming next week with the keynote. That's the annual keynote of Matt Mullenweg, and it coincides for the first time with a major release of WordPress, the 6.9 release, and it will be live streamed from San Francisco. I think the tickets for the in-person meeting have already been sold out for a while, but you can follow along on the live stream on YouTube. It starts at 20 or 8 p.m. UTC. So it might be for our APAC contributors and WordPress users. It's a little late in the day. It's also almost past my bedtime for in Europe because San Francisco is 9 hours away from me, or nine, yeah. So there's this time zones quagmire that we always have to deal with. But if you see it on Tuesday or on Wednesday, I don't think it changes in between, and there's nothing really urgent in there. So take the time and call it on the rerun.
I'll probably watch it live because I'm in that time zone.
Oh, you're in that time zone. Yeah. Yeah. As always, our show notes will be published on gutenbergtimes.com/podcast. This is episode 125. And if you have questions, suggestions, or news or comments, yeah, if you want us to include them, send them to changelog@gutenbergtimes.com. That's changelog@gutenbergtimes.com. And I say huge thank you to JC Pons to come on the show and talk through those two releases with me and share what you are looking forward to for 6.9 and also share all the good work that is from Web Dev Studios that can help other agencies to also streamline their processes. Thank you so much, JC. I hope you have a wonderful day or night. And all the listeners, thank you for listening.
Goodbye.
Bye.